When your employees are feeling disengaged, they may be looking for a way to jump ship. The lack of time and resources to deal with this issue may lead to unfortunate results. Employee burnout is a serious problem that requires immediate attention. Gathering employee feedback can be tedious and time-consuming. However, the bigger question remains: how can we guarantee that the feedback we collect transforms into actionable insights? At some point, your insights become outdated, and it's back to square one. Your employees who are completely drained and burned out leave the company. This seriously affects your company profits and employee productivity. Even new hires will end up feeling just as disconnected because the root of the problem has not been tackled. Don't get stuck in that loop. Introducing Sprout Pulse, an empowering employee engagement tool that streamlines the entire process. The seamless Sprout HR integration makes gathering, measuring, and analyzing data smooth and simple. Pulse offers quick and easy surveys that allow employees to provide feedback anonymously, ensuring transparency. Pulse then analyzes that feedback and provides insights that support impactful decisions and drive engagement. The analytics are updated daily, and you have access to all the info you need via a simple centralized dashboard. Reduce turnover and increase productivity with Sprout Pulse. What are you waiting for? Book a demo with Sprout today, the most trusted end-to-end HR platform.
I'm Vicky Trinidad Garcia, and I'm the president and co-founder of Omnichannel Solutions.
I'm Andre Blanco. I'm the operations manager for the creatives. So I'm currently handling two creative teams. One is our client-facing team and the other one is our in-house. Before we were using this just Excel file, and we have to collect those every grading period. And it's not easier to track, I guess, because you have to really dig those documents to see the difference between this year up to this year. Honestly, being a manager in a very young age, it helps me to keep things organized, honestly, to track performance. There's a function wherein I can see the past performance of my employee while I'm doing the current one, so that really helps me a lot.
Currently, we subscribe with Performance Pro and as well as LMS, which helped us to reach more of our team members. Because when you get bigger, it's harder to connect. So with Sprout, really helped us along the way.
I'm Carol, and I'm the country manager for Adventus IT Services Philippines Inc. It just recently that we got it. If ever that there's an incoming employee, also if there's a Pro B that is up for regularization. It's good that there's someone following me up, not the human warm body. Someone following me up, hey, do this. And then you have to select. And then there's best practice of the selection. Unlike if you will be regularizing your people based on your own, based on your gut, it's not good. So there, at least it is measured on a good basis, based on research and all. Even if I'm out of the country, I can still view their performance. It links to the KPI, then boom, Sprout can actually recommend what is the salary increase for next year.
Are you struggling to find the right HR and business solutions partner? Introducing the new Sprout ecosystem, a platform where integrated HR and business solutions come together.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on championing workplace wellness strategies for supporting employee well-being. I'm Shay, and I'll be your host for today. Did you know a recent report has shown a significant 17.5% increase in attrition rates in the Philippines from 2022 to 2023? This trend highlights the pressing need for prioritizing mental health and well-being within your team. To address this need effectively, prioritizing workplace wellness not only enhances your team's happiness and engagement, but also mitigates attrition risks. In this webinar, we will delve into practical strategies for supporting your employees' well-being in the workplace. Our speakers will share their insights and provide actionable steps to help you foster a positive and supportive environment for your team, ultimately to a thriving If you've been follow at Tech, if you enjoy solutions is the largest homegrown organization.
Your business is made out of many moving parts, all run by people with their own processes, goals, and needs. Before you know it, all these parts start evolving in many different ways. And as your business grows, the way you work evolves too. Eventually, you will face new and difficult challenges. But the good news is, you don't have to do it all by yourself. The future of work is here, and we're here to help you every step of the way. Are you growing your company? If you are, we'll help you improve your recruitment process, from sourcing all the way to hiring. Not only can we get you candidates, we will get you the right ones, and fast. You can onboard and manage your entire workforce easily with Sprout HR, your all-in-one platform for managing attendance, leaves, 201 files, and more. With Sprout, you can also clock in and out from anywhere, and you can rest easy knowing that your employees are compensated properly. Your government contributions and forms are taken care of with the most compliant system on the market. We can also help you improve your employee experience. Attract and retain your talent with the best financial, mental, and physical health benefits that any company can offer. And see how your new employee experience is driving engagement. This helps your employees stay with your company. But how can we help them grow and become better? With our performance and learning management tool, you can do just that and a whole lot more. Become bigger and stronger than ever. Come join the ecosystem. It all begins with Sprout.
Now, without further ado, let's begin our first session. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed speaker for today. Dr. Joanne May Perez Refarial serves as the Vice President of the Philippine Psychiatric Association and holds the role of Residency Training Officer in the Department of Psychiatry at the Veterans Memorial Medical Center. She is also an esteemed faculty member at both the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health and the Ateneo de Manila University Health Sciences Program. Her expertise stems from rigorous training at the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital, where she completed her residency in psychiatry and later was distinguished as chief resident. Her outstanding performance in the Philippine Board of Psychiatry's diplomate exams underscores her dedication and proficiency in the field. As a passionate advocate for mental health, Dr. Perez Refarial has shared her insights and expertise on numerous media platforms, including ABS-CBN, GMA, TV5, CNN Philippines, and more. Her contributions to psychiatry have garnered national and international recognition through prestigious awards. Please join me in extending a warm virtual welcome to Dr. Joanne May Perez Refarial.
Hello, good morning to everyone, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me, Sprout Solutions, and of course to Ma'am Abby and Ma'am, I think it was Ma'am Shaina who introduced me. Good morning to everyone, and it's really a very nice day, and thank you very much for sharing your time with us today. So allow me please to share my screen, Ma'am Sheila, Ma'am Shi. Is it okay na po, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes? All right, all right. So, okay. Good morning once again to everyone. And again, I'm Joan Rivarial, and I'm here to talk about mental health, which is really my passion as a psychiatrist. So, understanding mental health challenges in the modern workplace. So, what are the challenges that we may face while at work? So, this is again a very short discussion on mental health. So I would like to start by saying that to everyone, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, this month of May. So happy Mental Health Awareness Month. And so this topic really is very relevant because we will be talking about mental health and challenges in the workplace. And this will be the outline for my discussion this morning on mental health in the workplace. So first, we shall discuss about the concept of mental health, stress, and burnout. And later on, we will talk about resilience and how this impacts or how this helps in the workplace and strategies to boost our resilience in the workplace. Have you heard of this line from the World Health Organization, which states that there is no health without mental health? And do you agree with this line? Yes, we agree because in fact, in the definition of health, it clearly states that it's the totality, the holistic approach to health and well-being includes physical, mental, and social health and well-being. Now, zooming in on mental health, what do we mean when we say mental health? Kaya dapat aware tayo, kaya nga awareness. So, and siguro you can also reflect on your current state of mental health today. So when we say mental health, it's actually a state of well-being or wellness in which we know what our talents are. That's first, what our abilities are, what our skills are. Number two, we are able to cope with the stressors of life. So kaya pa ba to handle stress? Number three, we can work productively and fruitfully at the end of each day. And lastly, are we able to make a contribution to our society? And I would just like to emphasize or highlight two very important words here in the definition of mental health, which is very relevant to our topic today. First is stress. Meaning, in life, there will always be sources of stress. Stress is a part of life. And what's important is that we remain productive. We remain we remain to be engaged, diba, to our roles, especially in our workplaces. That in spite of all of these challenges and sources of stress, we remain productive and performing well at work. Know that these second and third elements of mental health, in fact, have a relationship. So what is the relationship between these two? We can view it from this graph. Oh, stress levels and productivity. If you look at this graph, it tells us that a bit of stress, in fact, especially for our employees, is in fact good. Kasi a bit of stress is something which will push us to do our best, to be creative, to come to work on time, to make sure we finish our tasks on time, have time proper or good time management skills, because it can lead to us being more productive, and we can be more performance can be better when we are a bit stressed. Take note lang that there are extremes to this graph, and I hope that we avoid the extremes, and we will talk about that later on. So speaking of stress and the productivity, it's also important for you as leaders in your own companies, in your own offices, as managers, as the top officers, to know the generation, your generation and the generation of the people under your care, members of the staff ninyo in your company. What do you think are the yung mga where do your members, no, or the members of your staff belong to? So for you, what is your generation? Where is it here, not in this spectrum? Why? Why is it important to know the members of your company? Know their generations, know their age groups. Why? Because studies have shown that, in fact, some age groups, some generations, two generations, in fact, are much at risk for higher levels of stress. And what are these two generations? These are the millennials. Currently, they belong to the age group now of 26 to 41 years of age, and the Gen Xers, 42 to 57 years of age. So I hope that you keep this in mind, especially when you manage, diba? A lot of people know their generations kasi each generation can be unique in their own personality styles, in their own struggles and sources of stress. But for these, again, for all, stress is a normal part of life, and these two generations are at higher risk for stress. What do you think is the number one cause of stress? Here, again, is a data which presents the top 10 sources of stress, and this is a global data. But again, going back to my first question, what do you think is the number one cause of stress? So the number one cause of stress is money, finances. Kaya nga, very important also that you discuss about financial matters, diba, in the workplace, like the salary, etc. Because in fact, this is one of it's in fact the topmost source of stress worldwide, and these are the rest. So I highlighted the fifth one, which is work related. Okay, we also should know what the sources of stress are in terms of work. These two generations, as mentioned earlier, can feel na parang they can be pulled too thinly, stretched too thinly because of all of these sources of stress, as mentioned in the top 10. So sometimes they may be handling family concerns, plus medical issues, finances, problems with relationships, etc. That's why it's awareness of the root causes of their stressors. It's very important for top managers like you, because when not managed effectively, high levels of workplace stress can lead to several negative personal and performance outcomes, specifically this part of the graph. If you remember this graph, it may lead when there's too much stress, when stress level is too high, it may lead to a decline, pagbagsak, pagbaba ng productivity, leading to anxiety attacks, panic, anger management issues in the workplace, breakdown, or burnout, which is in fact recognized by the World Health Organization as a true condition. It's not arte-arte lamang. It's not just an excuse to miss work. It is in fact due to chronic or prolonged pangmatagalan na work-related stress, which was not properly addressed or properly acknowledged from the start. Now, speaking of work-related stressors, what do you think is the number one cause of stress in the workplace? We should also be aware of this. So I'll also present the top 10 sources of stress at work. Please note that the top one is, again, money-related, salary. So as managers, I hope that you keep this in mind. Salary is a concern along with the rest of the top 10, like excessive workload with too little time to finish it, few opportunity for advancement at work, uninteresting work. It can be parang maybe they feel na it's not part of their the job description already, or it can be boring to them. Not having the employees, not having enough control over job-related decisions. Now, sometimes kasi they are not told about this decision. So what happens is they become shaken by new rules, new responsibilities that they were really not updated about, and they feel that they have no control over. Organization culture. What does this mean? culture, no? Sometimes one of the stressors here about culture is gossiping, yung mga ganon, having cliques, bullying in the workplace, which can be part of the culture, hierarchies. So that's one. Lack of social support if they feel isolated, excluded in the workplace. Management practices, relationships at work. That's why it's really important also to discuss and look into kamusta ba? How is the social relationships at work and physical work environment? All of these stressors may lead to our members of the staff, members of the team, feeling all of these signs or symptoms of burnout. It can manifest with cognitive or brain problems like poor concentration, poor attention span, lack of focus, physical symptoms like body aches and pains, poor sleeping patterns, eating patterns can be affected. Emotionally, they may feel nega towards their job, they may feel cynical. Behavioral symptoms means I'm engaging in mga not so healthy coping skills or strategies na like excessive smoking, excessive drinking as a way to de-stress or to feel calm. All of these now leading again to a decline in their performance. In fact, burned out employees, in fact, this is really a concern for companies because this may lead them to look for other jobs, seek for other opportunities, and they're more likely to take a sick day, to go on leaves, and are more likely to visit the emergency room. Why? Why visit the emergency room? Because again, as presented earlier, because of the physical signs and symptoms, which may be a symptom of burnout, an anxiety attack, panic attack, anger management issues, depression, and other mental health related conditions. And given this, the problem, the concern related to burnout and work-related stress, now it's really important to talk about resilience. In the face of all of these challenges, what do we do? Do we bend or do we break? Diba? If you remember that parang that ano kanina na that the cord being stretched too thinly. The term referred to by this question is resilience. So it's really important to know about this concept of resilience. What is this? It means our ability to adapt well. No, it's a process. It's not magic. No, we learn about being resilient or highly resilient kaagad immediately. But it's really a process of being able to adapt, to adjust, to be flexible enough to recover from all of the trauma, adversity, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. This slide emphasizes that, again, in the workplace, there can be adversities, challenges, stressors, diba? It emphasizes that it's a reality. It can happen. But resilience is a process of, or a way now for us to learn how to adapt to recover from all of these challenges, or in simpler terms, to bounce back. Bangon, diba? Bounce back from difficult life experiences, because individuals shown to be higher in resilience or who are more resilient are viewed as better able to rebound. No? They're able to be more flexible and rebound or bounce back faster from negative life or work-related events. Specifically, resilience in the workplace. Why is this important? Again, workplaces can be very stressful, and sometimes when there's too much stress, as mentioned earlier, it can make them feel nega. No, the emotions can be very strong, and it may leave them feeling demotivated. And that's why I presented earlier yung rates, diba? About absenteeism, going to the emergency room, taking leaves, and high turnover rates. So look at the reason. Lack of employer care, in fact, contributes to employee turnover when they feel all of the sources of stress kanina, the top 10. So there can be high turnover because they feel that they're not being cared about no, by their employers. They feel that they weren't treated with dignity by the company leaders, or they leave their jobs because the employers were not supportive enough of their well-being. Having said that, that's why, as the employers, as the leaders of your company, of your groups, it's really important to help promote resilience among the employees. Kaya this lecture should also trickle down, to the members of your team, to the members of the company, to the members of the staff, because promoting resilience among employees may help them better to be able to handle challenges better, improve communication among them, or di ba yung kanina, one of the reasons for the stress is lack of communication, and eventually reducing burnout. And it has a ripple effect from improving resilience among the employees. It ripples out. It also helps the social relatedness or connectivity and promotes a stronger dynamics among the members of the team. So hindi lang siya individual, but it goes out to involve better relationships, improved relationships among colleagues, upskilling for everyone, and it promotes good time management skills. And lastly, it also helps the workplace. So from the individual to the team to the workplace or the company itself. So it also benefits the workplace by creating a safe space. The company now becomes a safe space for everyone, where everyone is productive, are able to adapt to changes, and there's constant growth and development, both personally and professionally, for everyone. So the question now is, how do we boost or how do we enhance resilience in the workplace? For managers like you, there is in fact a reminder from the World Health Organization to start with yourselves first. In order for you to support your group, in order for you to support your team, you need to take care of yourselves first and foremost, because you cannot give what you do not have, or you cannot pour from an empty cup. Do you agree with that? Diba? You cannot give, no? If you're running low na on battery because of burnout. So please take good care of yourselves first. And what better way to partner your cups, diba? Cups of coffee, than by eating bread, diba? And what comes out? What drops from those bread or cookies? Crumbs, the CURMBS. So please remember this in order for you to take care of your staff, of the members of your team better. C is for connections. It means support. So for your companies, please remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Walang iwanan. That's why kanina, if you remember, one of the slide there talked about upskilling for all. If one goes up, hopefully everyone is able to go up as well and improve on their skill sets, diba? So teamwork makes the dream work. Part of this activity to boost this connection is schedule team building activities, which has been found to be helpful in strengthening communications, boosting relationships, helping with problem solving related skills, which are very essential for your companies to be creative, to be productive all the time. B, oh no, I'm so sorry, B. R is for routine. What do we mean? I hope that you're able to maintain work-life balance, not just for everyone, for everyone. What does this mean? Let's create an environment where hopefully all of the employees are able to leave work on time and not to take their work home with them. Diba? Sometimes kasi we take our documents, laptops home, and still it feels like work, diba? When we are at home already. And this is really aimed to for us to reclaim our weekend, which is talagang this has been neglected na, no? Sometimes we work during weekends. So if we are able to do this, please reclaim your weekend, maintain work-life balance. U is for understanding. What do we need to understand? That in life, there will always be changes, uncertainties in life. But what's important is that we accept and take the journey despite the uncertainties and the setbacks. What's important is our comeback, diba? Kasi challenges will always be there, but let's accept it. And when the things are really very unpleasant, it's very challenging, know that there is no problem too big that we can't find solutions for it. So help your team find solutions. This too shall pass. So for any concern, for any problem in your team, there can always be option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and everything shall come to pass. M is for mindfulness. This means staying in the moment, staying focused. Give your 100% attention to what is happening today, here, and now. So X yun ha, yung nasa left, focus your attention to the right side. 1L, mindfulness. As the bosses, as the officers, what can help for your team members to feel that they are heard, that it's a safe space when they come to you, to your offices, when they need to talk to you. DEAL, deal with them 100% means drop everyththing and listen. Even if you're very busy, kahit na tayo ay maraming paperworks na we need to finish, drop everything, give your 100% focus and attention to your team members. B is for boundary. What does it mean? It means setting limits. Setting limits between what is personal and professional. Leave personal concerns at home. Come to work on time. Be prompt, be attentive, stay fit, be reliable, and hopefully we all embrace feedback. Part of boundary also is to practice digital detox. What is digital detox? Now, hopefully for your companies, you can embrace this. Like, for example, for us in the academe, we have this memo from our dean. And we do not send out messages, email messages, texts, or calls beginning on a Friday at 5 p.m. until Monday, 8 a.m. And that is really for us to be able to enjoy and reclaim our weekend. And lastly, S is for self-care. Self-care for all. But again, please take good care of yourselves physically, get enough rest and sleep, eat well, galaw-galaw, exercise to boost the level of blood flow to your brain cells, galaw-galaw para iwas sabaw sa trabaho. Find your stress outlets, do the things which make you feel good and happy, and continue to practice gratitude by counting your blessings for the day. Studies have shown that the happiest people, the most contented employees, for example, are those who practice gratitude, are the grateful ones. And for everyone in Zoom, I'm sure that there's something common for everyone you are grateful for. And what is that? I'm sure you're all grateful for your jobs. So love your jobs so that your jobs will also love you back. My slide is not moving. Hello? Yan. Love your jobs so that your jobs will also love you back. And with that, I would like to thank you. And these are my take-home messages. Number 1, teamwork makes the dream work. No man left behind. Walang iwanan. Upskilling for all. Number 2, drop everything and listen. As the officers, as the boss, as the managers, this is very important for the members of the team, for the staff, to feel that your offices are safe spaces where they can be heard. And most especially, lastly, take good care of yourselves first. This is not selfish. Please take care because you cannot help. You cannot give your 100% best to the members of your team, to your staff, if you yourselves are not really in the best of health. And with that, maraming salamat po, Sprout Solutions. Thank you very much to everyone.
There you have it. Thank you, Doc Joan, for your insightful presentation. Actually, your talk really hit deep in my heart as someone who also experiences stress, not just in the workplace, but also in law school and even in life in general. And I really related to that one slide where you said, bangon. Because I remember this commercial, para kanino ka bumabangon? And my response is always, para sa sahod.
Yeah. Especially the number one source of stress,
Yes.
of course. Let's do it. Push lang.
Yes, Doc Joan. So for those experiencing stress or whatever you're going through, just remember, bangon, be resilient, and be compassionate to yourself. Take care of yourself and be compassionate to those around you, especially those in the managerial supervisory
Correct.
position. Now, for those who have questions for our speaker, please type them in the chat box and we'll address each of them later on. Now, similar to what was mentioned earlier about wellness and money being part of our mental health, wellness extends beyond mental and physical health. It also includes financial well being. Let's remember the importance of making smart financial choices, whether it's setting a budget, saving for emergencies, or planning for retirement. Each step we take towards financial wellness brings us closer to a life of balance and peace of mind. In line with this, I'd like to encourage you to scan the QR code on the screen to download Sprout's ebook on financial wellness. There, the box there on the screen, you may scan it using your cameras, your phones, and you can go through our ebook on financial wellness so you can really understand how to budget, how to save for emergencies, and possibly plan for your retirement. All right. Okay, great. I hope you've all had a chance to download the ebook. You may also access the link in the chat box. Should you have questions accessing this report, let us know in the chat box so we can assist you. Now, let's continue to our resident HR workforce speaker, whom our regular attendees know very well. He is a seasoned human resources professional with over 17 years of experience in the corporate world. He has held various roles in the IT, BPO, consumer goods, manufacturing, and government sectors, and has a deep understanding of the legal and practical aspects of human resources management. He is also a practicing lawyer, and this practice covers labor, privacy, energy, corporate governance and compliance, and special legal projects. He is a frequent speaker at various learning events organized by the People Management Association of the Philippines, and he is a faculty member at the Arellano University School of Law, Philippine School of Law, and the University of Asia and the Pacific. Let's welcome the HR evangelist of Sprout Solutions, Attorney Lester Ople.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Shay, for the kind introduction. And thank you, Doc John, for the presentation earlier. As a millennial, I feel seen. And I hope some of our audience members were able to relate as well and to gain valuable insights from Doc Joan's presentation. So for my piece of the presentation today, I'll be talking about how we can now extend wellness not only to our individual spheres, but let's talk about wellness as an organization. Particularly, I'd like to talk about how wellness integrates to the overall continuum of HR management processes, as well as a strategy not only for legal compliance, but also a strategy for engaging and retaining our talent. Okay, so just a brief background. I'd like to give an overview of the legal context or the legal regulatory framework which governs wellness. No? So first we have to talk about the expanded Occupational Safety and Health Law, RA 11058. So sometime in 2018 and 2019, um, the, uh, the Philippines passed the expanded Occupational Safety and Health Law, and this is fairly insightful because the last iteration of the Occupational Safety and Health Law was circa 1970s pa. This is the one, the OSHA rules. No, this is being administered by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, one of the bureaus under the Department of Labor. And it was only in RE 11058 did we have the right to refuse unsafe work actually institutionalized as a law. Imagine from 1974 until now, well, until at least 11058, um, the right to refuse work is basically a play by ear right that can be exercised by people in the workplace. Now, with the expanded Occupational Safety and Health Law, there is a mandatory requirement of number one, having a safety officer, and number two, having a whole occupational safety or a health and safety committee that supports that safety officer. No, and the safety officer is actually empowered to impose what we call a WSO or a work stoppage order, which would allow the employees to refuse unsafe work at least until the unsafe work condition has been eliminated or remediated. Okay, so this is the first or the cornerstone of the current regulatory framework for wellness as a component of human resources management. Okay, next slide, please. Let's go now to 11036 or the mental health law. Again, this was another stroke of luck for us in the Philippine workforce because right before the pandemic hit, we have the mental health law passed into law. Um, so, what is the salient feature of the mental health law? Number one is a mental health policy. So, all workplaces now are required to have a hello. I see people saying that my audio is weak. Can you hear me?
We
Can you
can
give
hear
me a
you
thumb?
now, attorney.
Okay, thank you. All right. Um, going back to the mental health law, it was very lucky for us that right before the pandemic hit, the mental health law was passed, and the number one requirement of the mental health law is that we need to have a mental health policy in the workplace. Now, what does a mental health policy encompass? The first one is you should have a mental health program. No, the mental health program is a set of programs that are designed to address and alleviate mental health conditions and stress management in the workplace. So, what Doc Joan shared earlier, this is on the personal side, on the individual employee side. But at the organizational level, we need to have two things. Number one, a policy, and number two, a set of programs and activities that address the mental health needs of our workers. Um, just as a side note on the mental health law, I've seen so many memes and negative reactions on mental health and safety, the concept of safe spaces online. Um, and you see the permanent tension between people who say that, we mental health is important, safe spaces are important, and then people who say that, life is tough, wear a helmet or things like that. But as employers, we have to remind ourselves that our obligation is number one to comply with the law, and number two, we need to actively engage our employees so that their mental health needs are addressed. No, so that's one. No, more on the mental health law and the mental health and wellness programs later. And then lastly, this is very new. Next slide, please. So this is the Eddie Garcia law, and I was chuckling when I was reading the law itself, no, because it explicitly states that it's called the Eddie Garcia law. So hats off to Manoy Eddie Garcia, one of the pillars of Philippine cinema and the movie industry. Um, Side note, he's my favorite villain, no, in all the old Filipino movies. So I'm very sad about his demise. But it's interesting that the Eddie Garcia law, and please bear with me because it's really the title of the law. It's an act to protect the welfare of workers in the entertainment industry. So it provides for strengthened um, occupational safety and health measures in all movie and television workplaces. And it's also interesting for me to note that there is a requirement in the law that requires an employment contract for people who are in the industry. So you now have your extras, your stuntmen, your makeup artists, and everyone else in that whole industry now having to be covered by an employment contract. So more on that later. We commit at Sprout that we will be giving insights into this law down the line. No? But it's interesting that now there's an increased awareness of the government in terms of regulatory activities regarding a safe and healthy workplace. So the message of the Philippine government and the legislative is clear. Our government wants to have a healthy and a happy workforce. Okay? So, as employers, our burden now is to comply with our obligation to deliver that because not only does it mean good business sense to comply with the law, it also makes good business sense to have happy, engaged employees. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So why should we now think of wellness as a component of human resources? It was interesting earlier that Doc John was mentioning that one of the number one what the number one source of stress is financial, and what addresses financial needs, it's usually employment, no? And employment, if we contextualize it in Maslow's needs hierarchy, um, wellness is oh sorry, employment is very much a physiological need. This addresses our need for money, clothing, food, and shelter. But when we talk about happiness in the workplace, we have transcended the image of just, clocking in and out, just delivering work, and then that's it. We get a paycheck at the end of the pay period. Now we're also looking for meaning, no? And in so many employee engagement surveys, we've seen that the workers of today, the employees of today, not only look for, they don't only look for a paycheck, they look for meaning in their professional lives. And that means contributing to a bigger goal, to a bigger organization that helps that helps get them to self-actualization. And we can never get to self-actualization if we do not address the safety requirement, the love and belongingness, the employee engagement, and the esteem or the rewards and recognition. So I'd like to think about it that Maslow's needs hierarchy is actually a reflection of what we need to provide in human resources. Number one, we need to give them physiological needs. We need to give them decent wages, livable wages, and wages that are commensurate to the value that our employees bring to the organization. We need to bring them into a safe and healthy workplace, not only safe from a physical and physiological perspective, meaning kung kailangan natin ng hard hat meron, kung kailangan ng PPE meron, but really a safe space where people can be themselves and deliver value to the organization, belong to a team that values them as an individual, as a coworker, recognize their contributions, esteem, and then we give them that platform so that they can reach self-actualization. So wellness is very much a component now of human resources. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is an excerpt of the data points from the Great Place to Work survey, and these are insights on the state of employee well-being in the Philippines. So just a quick rundown of the stats. No, 19% report severe stress at work. So I'm starting to think that a lot of these are millennials and Gen Xers. 54% or more than half report reduced well-being. 31%, this is a third, no, almost a third of our workforce, reporting severe anxiety at work, and 10% of workers in a mental health crisis. So these are alarming statistics. So imagine if you have an attrition rate of, let's say, 9 to 10%, that is a portion of the 20% who report severe stress at work, more than half who report reduced well-being, 10% of actually people who are actually suffering a mental health crisis, and 31% reporting severe anxiety as at work, which would cripple productivity and diminish, their contribution to the business. Not only would our employees suffer from reduced contribution to the business, but it has a multiplier effect. Do you can you recall a feeling, the feeling that you get when you are working with and working for an employer or a coworker who has severe anxiety in a mental health crisis and severely stressed, it's also stressful. So, ano siya, it's as bad as as a communicable disease in the sense that an employee who is stressed stresses the people around that person as well. You know? So, what is the burden on us in human resources? It is to it is to help our employees address these mental health issues through employee engagement and other programs and activities that support their mental health needs. Okay, next slide, please. Sorry, I'm seeing another message that there is no sound. Is the audio clear?
Yes, attorney, you're clear.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So, just to call back to another earlier intellectual property of Sprout, no, the digital maturity model, and please, we invite you to assess your organization's digital maturity stage when you access our digital maturity self-assessment questionnaire. There are 5 stages in the digital maturity model. So, why are we talking about the digital maturity model in the context of mental health and wellness? Because we cannot address mental health and wellness in the workplace if we are not yet in a mature HR organization. What do I mean by that? So this is a quick rundown of the DMM. So we have 5 stages in the digital maturity model. So imagine a rudimentary organization in human resources. Imagine a manufacturing plant. You only have one person doing HR. So there is no actual dedicated HR department. It's just a supervisor or an admin person who does the payroll, the timekeeping, etc. And then you have all the way to, let's go to stage 4, the managed organization, which has a full-blown HR department, different work streams. You have recruitment, comp and ben, employee engagement, all of those things. And they don't only manage processes like transactions, but they actually manage the whole employee experience. Okay. So if you are not in the 3 or 4, in the stage 3 or 4 yet, it's very difficult to focus on addressing mental health and wellness needs of our employees. Okay. So how do we know if we are in the stages 1 to 5 of the DMM? Next slide, please. So there are 3 indicators: organization, methodology, and technology. By organization, we look at the people. Do we have people who are double-hatted, performing HR processes aside from regular operational work? Or do we have dedicated specialists who are dedicated on a very specific facet of HR? Recruitment person, compensation person, benefits person, engagement person. Okay? The more specialized an organization's people are on human resources functions, the more mature the organization is. Now let's look at methodology, the second indicator: philosophies, policies, and processes. If you have an HR organization that has an anything goes as long as everyone gets paid outlook, then that's a less mature organization as compared to an organization with a full-blown HR handbook, HR manual, and every process has a philosophy. There is a compensation philosophy, there is a corporate values philosophy, there is a recruitment philosophy, then the more mature the organization is. Lastly, technology. Are they using manual punch cards for timekeeping and then manually computing payroll via Excel or calculator even? Or are they using a sophisticated HR tool like Sprout that would help the organization deliver HR processes? Okay, the more mature, the more sophisticated technology is used, the more mature the organization is. Next slide, please. Okay, now we have the vertical integration. So we look at horizontals kanina, so that's people, methodology, and technology. Now we look at the HR function itself. Okay, HR operations are the regularly recurring transactional work in human resources mature, meaning are our payroll, recruitment and selection processes and timekeeping process, are they rudimentary, manual, and very ad hoc, as opposed to very structured, very repeatable, and very reliable HR operations? Employee experience and engagement. Do we actually have this function? Because some organizations do not need this yet. For example, you're a small business, a trucking business with 4 trucks, 5 drivers, and so many clients. Do you really need an employee experience, or do you just need to manage processes? And lastly, HR business strategy. How does the HR department report to the business owners, to the senior leadership regarding how HR processes are executed. Do you have metrics, KPIs, and analytics available? Okay. The more sophisticated your vertical HR verticals are, the more mature the organization is. Now, what's the reason why we talked about maturity? Because it is only at a certain organizational maturity level that you can actually address your mental health and wellness needs successfully. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So that's where wellness comes in. If you do not have an employee experience or an engagement vertical yet in your human resources, then wellness might not be something that you can actually accommodate in your HR organization. Okay, but there's a solution that Sprout has for that, because number one, wellness, mental health, and wellness is really a compliance item now. It is no longer simply a nice to have. Okay, and number two, you're in the war for talent. An organization that does not address wellness needs will lose out on talent. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we have Sprout Wellness. So this is our comprehensive employee wellness program that gives organizations access to services that support holistic well-being. And this is a holistic well-being, workplace well-being program, because it does not only address the individual mental health needs of an employee, but it also addresses number one, organizational culture, number two, financial wellness. As Doc John said earlier, the number one source of stress is, of course, when finances are an issue. Okay, mental wellness, which is part of the mental health law, and of course, physical fitness. No? So these are the core components of Sprout Wellness. Each of these aspects you can, just farm it out to Sprout, and we will address them for you. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this gives you the whole gamut of processes and services that are available to employers who are on the Sprout ecosystem. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so what are these actual services now? So for organizational culture, of course, your first hygiene condition is that when you have a mental health policy. So Sprout can be a consultant for you in your organization. We can consult and assist in drafting a mental health policy that's tailored to your organization. We also provide, through our partners, leadership training, wellness webinars, and group therapy sessions. No? This is very useful for organizations who are coming out of major organizational changes. No? So this is what we call the healing, quote unquote, of an organization. And then you have also the financial wellness products of Sprout, particularly our early wage access. No, in the vernacular, please bear with me. No, this is what we call ito yung bumabale. No, but this is more sophisticated than that, because this is app enabled and digital and instantaneous. No, so this is early wage access and earned wage access. And then we also have insurance tie-ups where your organization and your employees can avail of insurance products that would address their personal needs and their family needs. Of course, we have a pillar for mental health and wellness, which provides through our partners psychological counseling, psychiatric counseling, and meditation sessions. These are at the individual and very private. No, so if your organization would be availing of the mental wellness services, you will only have access to how many times your employees access the service. You will not have information on, who consulted, who availed, what were their issues. Walang ganon, no? Because this is very private. We need to respect the privacy of our employees when they avail the service. So the relationship is strictly on how many instances did the organization avail of the mental health and wellness consultation or counseling instances, no? Yun lang. And then, of course, physical fitness. This is again highlighted by the pandemic. No, we all needed to get out of our couches, stay off of Netflix or your console gaming, and we have yoga classes and gym membership programs also with our partner organizations. Okay, so these are the four pillars of the Sprout Wellness program. We address organizational culture, financial wellness, mental wellness, and physical fitness as well. Okay, next slide, please. So again, just to refresh everyone, this is the Sprout ecosystem. If you will be availing of course, Sprout HR and Payroll, these are our what we call basic or base products, also mobile. No? It would be very, you have other products and services available in the ecosystem. So what we're talking about right now is the wellness aspect of the ecosystem. Of course, wellness would not be complete as an organization if you don't have the data that supports it. I mean, we have to find out, okay, are people actually using the wellness product because we're paying for it? Number two, is it effective? And number three, is there any way that we can improve on our wellness product offerings further? No. So next slide, please. Okay, so this is where two other Sprout products come in. So one is Sprout Pulse. So Sprout Pulse is our employee engagement survey. Now, this uses the Net Promoter Score methodology, and it uses or rather, it's a tool that gathers, measures, and analyzes your employee responses to surveys. Now, so this helps you measure the effectivity of programs like your mental health and wellness programs, as well as employee engagement programs that would help you address employee engagement concerns. Okay, next slide, please. So this is another portal. No? This is Insight. Insight is the HR analytics product of Sprout. And what this gives you is that aside from the individualized and group level surveys that would give you insights into the organizational sentiment, you will actually see hard data in Insight. So what do you get here? Number one is absenteeism. Of course, when you are on the Sprout ecosystem, you would have people who would log in their attendance through the Sprout tool. And absenteeism data is one data point that you can use to determine whether or not our mental health and physical health initiatives actually improve our absenteeism rates. The assumption there is that the less people are absent from work, the more effective our health and wellness programs are likely. Okay, so if we don't have that data, then we really don't know what's going on if our mental health and wellness and other wellness tools in the shed, so to speak, are effective or not. Okay. And aside from absenteeism, we also need to look at one more data point. Next slide, please. Okay, this is attrition. No? So Insight would give you your real-time attrition data, and it would be good also to see if you have an exit survey, or an exit interview data. You can correlate the reasons for attrition. If you have a high attrition and a lot of your attrition mentions that the reason that they are leaving the organization is because this is a high stress environment. I can't take it anymore. Okay, so this is another data point that we should all consider. Okay, next slide, please. So just to round out the whole wellness, the wellness suite of Sprout, and to wrap up, an idea on how to actually implement wellness products and wellness programs in the context of HR management. Think of HR management as an employee life cycle. So we take the employee on a journey. First, we attract them. We have our employer branding initiatives where we attract the best talent in the marketplace. We have our Glassdoor reviews, Indeed reviews, social media posts that increase the visibility of our employer brand in the market, and this would hopefully attract the talent that we want. And then we take them through the recruitment processes. And in the case of Sprout, there are recruitment tools available. And then once they are recruited, they go through the whole process of submitting pre-employment requirements, etc. They are onboarded. They are given initial training on your products and services as an organization. They're given their metrics for performance management, and eventually they get rewarded and recognized for the effort that they put in. And then after that, of course, we have to retain them, keep them motivated. Okay, there are tools and products of Sprout that can help you ensure that people are retained and motivated. And of course, lastly, we have to develop them. We cannot have people staying in the organization and not being given the opportunity to increase the depth and breadth of their skills. So we have a learning and development tools, particularly Performance Plus, that ties in performance management and learning and development activities, not only inside the classroom or for formal trainings, but also in the context of mentoring and other interpersonal relationships built inside an organization. Okay, so the message here is twofold. Number one, we think of the employee life cycle as a journey that we take our employees on, all the way from the time that they are not employees yet, we attract them as talent, all the way until we develop them into the best version of themselves in our organization that they can be. And at every step of that life cycle, you can have a Sprout product that helps you meet those organizational needs. Okay, so with that, that's it for my portion of today's talk. Thank you very much, and thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Attorney Lester, for that presentation. And it's really nice to hear that Sprout has a product or a service that caters to every step of the way of an employee life cycle. And as someone who really looks for an employer who shows compassion in not just getting the top talent, but also ensuring that each employee in the organization grows and develops through time. It's nice to hear that we have this type of service, we have this type of product with us. So, Attorney Lester, thank you so much again for that presentation. And if anyone's interested in learning more about the products and the services we offer here in Sprout, you can always book a demo with our team and we will schedule a call with you and discuss the various products and services in our ecosystem. Now, if you have any questions for Attorney Lester or Doc Joan, please type them in the Q&A tab and we'll address each of them later on. While we are waiting for your questions in the chat box, we have also prepared a few questions for you. There's a feedback poll here that should take about 2 minutes. Your feedback is highly important for us to continue creating meaningful topics and providing excellent events for everyone. You can see the questions on your screen right now. It is only 6 questions, and so please help us in reducing topics that you may find irrelevant and allow us to only deliver exceptional events in the future by taking the time and answering the feedback form. All right, so I'll give you guys a few minutes to answer the poll. And again, if you are interested in learning more about the different products and services we have here at Sprout, you can always book a demo with our team. All right, I hope everyone's answering the questions. Personally, this topic is really a good topic, especially for those who are not as knowledgeable or well versed regarding mental health, employee wellness, because oftentimes, or rather in some industries or in some companies, the work hustle is romanticized or still being romanticized, meaning that you should always do overtime, you should always work on the weekends, so on and so forth. And right now, we have a mental health policy and we have different legislations or acts that really cater to looking more into the other side of wellness. So again, I hope everyone's answering while I'm sharing my thoughts with you guys. So if you're having trouble accessing the poll, just let us know. And if you're done, please type done in the chat box so we'll know. I hope everyone learned something from our two esteemed and well-versed speakers. And honestly, I learned a lot. I actually took up a bit of psychology in my college years, and that's when I became a mental health advocate. And it's good to know that there are a lot of companies nowadays with their own mental health programs that really cater to the needs of each employee. And as mentioned earlier, our Sprout Wellness offers psychiatric consultations, meditation programs, possible gym memberships, and many, many more. So again, if you would like to hear more about that, you can book a demo with our team. Now, I hope everyone's done answering the survey. Thank you everyone for participating in our survey. We appreciate your honest feedback as it will help us improve moving forward. So, is everyone enjoying this event so far? Well, don't worry about it ending because we have more in store for you. We are inviting you to join us for the State of HR Summit on June 19. Again, it's on June 19 at the Marcus Events Place in BGC. This is an annual event hosted by Sprout Solutions, and it is your chance to connect with industry peers and gain insights into the top HR trends impacting businesses today. We have prepared a fantastic lineup of speakers and a whole day dedicated to learning and, of course, networking. Don't miss out on sessions about attracting and retaining top talent, empowering your HR teams, and becoming a great employer. Reserve your seat now via the QR code on the screen or via the link in the chat box. I hope we can see everyone there. So, again, you can reserve your seat by scanning the QR code on the screen or via the link in the chat box. Now, let's go back to the webinar. It's time for your questions, and our speakers will respond to your submitted questions and tackle key concerns regarding today's topic. Adding to that excitement, we are delighted to introduce our dynamic facilitator who will be leading this session. Please join me in welcoming our moderator. She has 15 years of experience in fintech, IT software startups, and BPO industries for both local and global companies. She started her career in recruitment and later took on an HR generalist function where she eventually attained a leadership role in heading the people operations team for 10 years. Let's give a warm welcome to Sprout's very own head of people operations, Miss Mary Abigail Galvin. And once again, I'd like to call our speakers back to the virtual stage, Attorney Lester, Doc Joan, to join Abby for this fireside chat and to address the questions of our attendees. To our attendees, just keep dropping in your questions by using the chat box on the side or via the Q&A tab. Now, let me turn you guys over to Abby.
Yes, hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Shay, for that wonderful introduction. And I'm very honored, and it's a privilege to be part of this fireside chat now with Dr. Joan and Attorney Lester. It's definitely an interesting topic to me personally, and also uh, as an HR person, this is something that I would definitely, would like to continuously improve, for our organization. So, thank you again to our speakers. That's definitely something that I learned a lot from, and just taking away from the discussion earlier from Doc Joan. What I like about the discussion that she said is, of course, health is not just physical, no, it's mental and social. So as an HR person, this is something that you can definitely look into more, no, it's not just the usual yoga sessions or the basketball tournament. So it's more than that, no, it's also mental and social wellness, so it's overall. And then of course my 1% naman that I took from the discussion is the Eddie Garcia um, law. Who knew that we can take a famous actor to be the title of the law? No? So thank you so much to our speakers again, no, for those insightful discussion on mental health and awareness. No. All right, so just to start with the discussion, we've had already a couple of questions even during the discussion and even prior to the discussion. This is definitely a very hot topic now. That's why people are very engaged in and very interested to know more about mental health. So I myself have a few questions in line, but if we do have time, we'll take on those questions. But definitely we'll discuss the ones that have already been in our chat box. So our first question, this is for Doc Joan. So what is the piece of advice for those who are on remote or hybrid work arrangement? Are there challenges that are specific for those who are on remote or hybrid work?
Yeah.
So yes,
Mhm.
very interesting question, Doc John, because especially during the pandemic and pre and after post pandemic, now this is still something that employees and organizations still look into. No, so what are the challenges though po of remote or hybrid setup?
Yes, thank you for this question, Ma'am Abby, and for the one who sent it. There can be several challenges. So number one is you maintaining that, what I mentioned earlier, maintaining that boundary between personal and professional lives. Because we know that when we do our remote work, when we work at home, sometimes we are unaware that we are extending beyond office hours, or we may get calls beyond office hours and still answer or reply to this. And aside from that, that boundary na, between personal and professional is, of course, yung the physical aspect of it. Physically, meaning there is a higher risk for having digital eye strain. What do I mean by this? This is because of the constant, yung that focus on our gadgets, no, the laptops, cell phones, be it yung the screen, having a prolonged screen time can lead to digital eye strains, and that's why it's really important to be mindful. Again, mindfulness is very important. Mindful to take breaks away from the screen, and make sure that when we do our online work, we maintain proper posture to prevent mga body aches and pains. So that's the physical aspect. Social naman, in terms of social, it may affect our social connectedness, because social connectedness through online, through virtual mga communication is really different from the actual physical interaction, wherein there is that mga beso-beso, hug, yung mga ganon, yung mga thumbs up, mga ganon. No? So it's really different. And when we have our mga chats during coffee breaks, lunchtime, lunch break, so it's different because the boost of oxytocin is better. Oxytocin, it's the bonding hormone. So there is that boost when we are in the company physically of friends, colleagues, and when we share mga ganon stories, and yung when we laugh together, di ba, it's different. So those can be the challenges there. So boundary, physically and socially, it can be affected.
Definitely. I also would like to connect this to the discussion that you said earlier na even social wellness is important, no? So it's a little bit challenging to do some social activities online, although it is possible definitely, but there's some restrictions to it, no? And then there's that possibility of problems with technology, internet connectivity. So there are hindrances also as to the total social activity that can be done online versus the physical one. No? So we just had our recent annual outing a few weeks ago, and it's definitely nice to see people outside of their screens, and then you would definitely have that sense of like a definite
Content.
yes,
Mhm.
connection and contentment na different level, no? It's something that you don't see every day na half body lang, di ba? And then you see them that they do actually present themselves differently
Correct.
face to face, no? So
Mhm.
yeah, I like that, no, Doc Joan, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Attorney Lester, do you have anything to add regarding the challenges of hybrid work arrangements on the legal side of things naman?
Yes. Ako naman, I'd like to connect it to what Doc John said earlier regarding the clean break between working and not working. We have to be conscious of this because on the overtime side, no, remember that if you are a non-exempt employee, meaning the employee is eligible for overtime, um, there has to be a clean break between working and not working. So how do we establish this? No, you have to have a clean break between the working time and not working time. No, it's easy if you have a tool like Sprout because it's simple. You have a login and a log out. But if you don't, then you have to at least set it up so that from a legal perspective, when you get asked or inspected by the DOLE regarding overtime pay compliance, you have proof to show that an employee stopped work at the 8-hour mark and that there was no longer any eligibility for overtime pay. So yun lang, no? It's very important kasi in work from home setups, it's very difficult to track overtime.
Definitely, I do agree with that. And then having a system such as Sprout Solutions really help you in determining the type of overtime that to be applied. Because in the Philippines, I think we're one of the countries that has probably 10 plus types of overtimes. No, there's night overtime, there's holiday overtime. So the rates differ, and then for you to be able to apply the accurate rate is definitely already very taxing, such as HR professionals such as myself. No, so that's something that you can take off from your from having to worry about, because when the employee definitely needs to render overtime, you apply the necessary rates, for us to be compliant then with DOLE. So thank you for bringing that up, Attorney Lester. All right. So we do have a couple more, because I think this is really a hot topic and it's very interesting, because I think what also was mentioned earlier by Shay, na this topic is probably it is a very sensitive topic for some, but of course avenues like these, it allows them to express their burning questions that they can of course ask questions anonymously, and then address the questions na without identifying their personal identity, no. So the next question is, how can we distinguish is if an employee is resilient and not just numb with everything happening in life? This is a very, I think this is a very deep question, no? Given that there are people who just stop caring and just keep moving forward. So I think the question here is about how do you check on your employees if they're still doing okay? Kasi parang I think some of the employees, they tend to parang because of the routine nga, parang they tend to just work and work and work, and then there's really no parang regular check-ins, how they're really doing, on a personal level. Baka hindi na pala sila okay. And then there's this thing called quiet quitting, 'di ba? Na parang bigla na lang nawawala in the scene, or parang they're not as engaged as they should be. So, yeah, how do we distinguish? Siguro I think Doc Joan can answer this. Now, how do we distinguish if the employee is just resilient, or baka naman just numb with what's happening?
Yes, it's very important to be mindful of the mga changes, na sudden, especially sudden changes in behaviors, in expressions, in activities that this person or this member of the staff might manifest. No? Kasi I'm sure that as the managers, as the officers, you would know, diba? You would know them, especially if they've been with the company for a long time already. And take note of medyo mga sudden and mga changes which were not there prior to before, no? So sudden changes, like for example, if they begin isolating themselves, no? Kung dati naman they love to hang out during lunch break, and then they feel happy when they're in the company of their office mates, and then suddenly they just prefer to be alone, they want to be isolated, they refuse to open up, parang they look so medyo they feel not they appear not parang they're in medyo quiet and in deep thought, mga ganon, then it's very important already to step in, and regular check-ins, in fact, are very important. In fact, Ma'am Abby, a simple question is, kamusta? Na kaya we have mga regular kamustahan sessions to make sure that we are still good, no? We are still
Yes.
able to cope. Yung what I mentioned kanina, yung the 4 aspects of mental health. Cope with the challenges and remain productive. Kasi at the end of the day, it can also be feeling numb and just going with the flow can be also a form of coping for some. Coping to allow them to just finish whatever is given, the tasks given for the day, to allow them to ano lang, to just finish everything, go home. It can be a form of coping, but if it persists and if there is already a decline in one's functionality at work, then these are already red flags that we need to watch out for.
Yes, definitely. So I think what's good about Sprout is that we do have a an app that it's called Pulse, no. So what it does is that it allows the employees to clock in and clock out, and then they can rate their day or their mood for the day. So that definitely is a good way for organizations to check in on their employees, what they're feeling. So it can be work related or can be personal related, what they're feeling for the day. So those kinds of programs, I think it was also mentioned by Attorney Lester earlier that you need to have programs and policies in place to be able to check in on your employees, especially if you're going to check in on their mental state, no, or mental
Well-being.
well-being. Yes, correct,
Mhm.
no. So yes, thank you so much for that, Doc Joan. And then I think this question is for Attorney Lester naman. Um, how do we handle employees who are using naman mental health card to take a leave? I think this is very interesting to me kasi
Yes.
uh, this is something that I also encounter, no, as an HR person, that they it often gets abused, I guess, in a way na parang I need to take a mental health leave. So how do we address this, Attorney
Yeah.
Lester?
So um, this was also a frequent question in my labor law classes. No, we were talking about social legislation, and the mental health law was one of our topics in our syllabus, and this is exactly the same question. No, so I'd like to give my insight. A disclaimer: this is not legal advice, but this is how I would handle it. No,
Yes.
um, and this is purely informational, not legal advice. I have to disclaim. So how would I handle this? Number one is I would look at the policy first. If the company does not have a mental health leave policy, then there is no reason for you to take a mental health leave. The reason that you will take a leave is because you are availing of a sick leave, which is governed by the parameters of your sick leave policy, or you're taking a vacation leave, or any other leave allowed by law or policy. Ano pa yung allowed by law? You have your Magna Carta leave, you have your VAUSI leave, you have your paternity, maternity, what have you. No? So if the employee is invoking mental health as the reason for a leave, the question that I would pose next is, are you availing a vacation leave or a sick leave? Because either way, you comply with the requirements of that policy. If it's vacation leave, there's prior written notice. If it is sick leave, then there is a requirement of a medical certificate, if so required by the company policy. Okay? So how do you deal with it after the fact? No? Okay, we don't have a mental health leave. So what are you availing? Sick leave or vacation leave? Boss, I'll take a sick leave. Okay, how many days are you taking? I just need 1 day. Then if it's within your parameters that you can allow a 1 day sick leave, then let it pass. Let the employee avail of that leave because your policy granted them that right. Where does the problem happen? When an employee uses it as a cyclical excuse. Okay? Right before sweldo, boss,
Yeah.
mental health leave.
And
Right
may
after sweldo,
pattern.
boss, mental health
Oo.
leave. Right before a long weekend, boss, mental health leave. All of these patterns you can see with data. No, the moment that you see a pattern emerging and it is no longer tied to your kamustahan sessions, then you start working at on it as a performance management issue. Okay, not as a disciplinary issue yet. Why? Because if it's a disciplinary issue, you have to invoke a specific clause in your code of conduct, which I don't think you would have one. No? Unless you have a specific provision in your code of conduct that says frequent absenteeism when there is a pattern. I don't think I've ever encountered a company with that now, but it's not unlawful if you also impose that in your code of conduct. Okay? So I hope that addresses the question. Again, not legal
Yes.
advice. This is how I would handle it.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Attorney Lester. So very insightful, especially to HR professionals. I'm sure that we have HR people in our webinar right now, and taking down notes. I took a mental note on that as well. So definitely, if the employees still have the leaves given to them, they have the of course all of the right to use that leaves, no. But when there's a pattern, definitely that's something that HR or their immediate superior can definitely take a look at closer. And I think I'll tie this towards the discussion earlier on productivity. If there's already a effect on productivity, then that's the time also that you can also take a closer look as to why the productivity is declining, like Doc Joan discussed earlier. But still on this topic, on this question, I would also like to throw the question to Doc Joan. What are the certifications that can be granted to an employee that can excuse them as a mental health leave, no? Kasi nga parang it may be confusing sometimes to HR department or their IS na parang ano ba dapat yung inaalaw natin na leave that is tied to mental health.
Yeah, ako personally, I have under my care now those who requested for certifications for leave from work, from school, etc. And usually these are due to mga the mental health conditions as specified under the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder. So we follow the criteria for to assess in our assessment of specific mental health conditions.
All right. So definitely it has to be certified by a accredited physician, correct na, Doc?
Yes.
And it's not self-inflicted na I'm going through something, ganyan, 'di ba?
Of course not. Not new
Yes.
self-diagnosis. No, we
Yes,
don't
yes.
to that because sometimes, of course, we know that the tools that are posted online for self-diagnosing yourself are not validated tools.
Yes,
So
correct.
course, it takes a thorough assessment and examination in the clinics for us to say na yes, this is true, and this individual really has something going on with regards to their emotional and mental health needs or concerns.
If I may add to that, Doc,
Yeah.
I've seen this so much on TikTok. There are
Mm,
so much content on TikTok that people just say you have ADHD or you have depression if you have this. I
Mm.
mean, is that can you just say something about that, please, Doc? I mean, it's
Um,
entertaining, of course, but
it is still best. Of course, awareness is good. You understand your body, your health, your mind. You know that there are changes within you, emotionally, behaviorally. If you feel there are changes, again, yung as mentioned earlier, be mindful of anything which is not something new to your emotions and thoughts and feelings and actions. But of course, avoid self-diagnosis. Sometimes these questionnaires available online are, of course, misleading and definitely not validated tools.
correct.
It takes a professional, a mental health professional, to properly manage, assess, examine, and give a specific assessment or diagnosis for cases for symptoms like for concerns like this.
Yes, definitely. And there's some risk involved, no, for
Yes.
self-diagnosis, and also uh yung mga not credible na sources. So definitely it's important to seek professional help. Those that are talagang has certifications that are of course validated, and with the help of consultations.
Yes.
That's the step one, no, Doc, no, for you to be able to have that uh courage to seek for consultation. Kasi right now, I think because of yun nga, availability of everything is already online, they
Yes.
seek um sources from the most accessible one, which is yun nga, TikTok, ganyan. Pero what we probably organizations should also look into is that there's actually accessibility in these consultations like what we also have in Sprout Solutions now, that we have the wellness app, so you can have a professional to help you with the diagnosis, the recommendations, and which is actually valid. No, so
Yes.
yes, definitely. Thank you so much for
And
that,
it
Doc.
doesn't have to be like us, na psychiatrists. Kasi for our population of 110 million Filipinos, there are just mga 600, more roughly, na 600 to
Wow.
650
Wow.
board certified psychiatry. So, of
Yeah.
course, there are also other mental health professionals like psychologists. For the schools, there are trained guidance counselors, trained to do assessment. So yeah, so there are resources available, and this is also a good platform now to help raise awareness to stop the stigma. Now, it doesn't mean if you go talk to a professional like us, it doesn't mean it's a sign, it's a character flaw, it's a sign of a weakness in us. No, in fact, being
Yes.
aware that there's something wrong, there's something different, that's the first step, in fact, towards recovery, healing, and knowing, getting insights about ourselves and knowing how to move forward from those conditions or concerns.
Definitely, Doc. No, I wish that we have more time, because we do have a lot of very interesting questions in the chat
Mm.
room. We'll try our best to answer them. If Doc Joan and Attorney Lester still have time, probably we can reach out to you and answer these questions. But unfortunately, we're a little over 5 minutes on our time, so we need to, of course, wrap up. And if we have future webinars similar to this, definitely we will invite Doc Joan again and Attorney Lester to talk more about mental health. So I would like to start the wrap up, no, by the things that were discussed earlier that really resonated to me. No? So starting with Doc Joan, what I got there is, for you to love, you have to love your work for your work, or for your job to love you back. I think that's very, that's probably, I will take down that one in my notes and in my notebook for me to be able to, always remember that one. That's very nice, no. And then from the discussion naman from Attorney Lester, what I got naman is about, sorry, my notes lang. Ayan. So for work is more than just clocking in and clocking out. There's definitely a bigger purpose to work. So yun naman yung key takeaway ko from the discussion of Attorney Lester. So thank you so much to our speakers. And then I'll turn it over to Shay to wrap everything up. Thank you so much again. And it's a pleasure to be in the panel with you guys. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much, Abby. And again, thank you, Attorney Lester and Doc Joan. Now, I think that's about it. And that is all the time we have for that Q&A session and for this webinar. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you found this webinar insightful and valuable to your day-to-day life. If you have any further questions or would like more information, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Again, thank you very much and have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you and good
Bye.
morning.
Thank you. Bye.